I'm taking a look at the Fujifilm X-H1 with the 16-55 f2.8. It is touted as the camera for video and the first to offer in-body stabilization. I'm going to see if it lives up to the expectation. It is also a decent still shooter too, but I'm going to focus on the video aspect. The X-H1 is large and hefty. The body houses a stabilized APS-C sensor, the headlining feature. The exterior hosts numerous dials and buttons for quick access to the most critical functions. The LCD tilts in 3 directions and is adequate for daylight use. I especially appreciate the LCD tilting to the right as I often stand beside the camera when I'm shooting interviews. Unfortunately, it doesn't tilt to the left or flip 180 degrees. There are dual memory card slots for redundancy and extended recording. There's no built-in flash, but cute little flashes included. Despite the larger body, there are still some glaring omissions. The camera has a mic input but lacks headphone output. Battery life is mediocre at under 1 hour for continuous video shooting, not to mention the 15-minute clip limit. You can extend the battery life by attaching a power bank to the USB port. Unfortunately, it's the older micro USB and not USB-C. All of these problems can be solved by adding the Fuji grip, which holds 2 additional batteries and a headphone jack. Of course, this would mean adding more bulk to an already heavy camera. Despite being marketed as a video-centric model, it lacks the ability to shoot 4K at 60 frames per second. It has plenty of film simulation, including F-Log. Here you can see the standard film simulation, the very popular Eterna, the F-Log, and F-Log after it's been color corrected. It does offer a bitrate of 50, 100, or 200 megabytes per second. Another minor nuisance is that the shutter button is too sensitive for me. Many times I tried to half press to focus and instead it either started or stopped my recording. This is probably something I could get accustomed to over time, and there's a good amount of customization for workarounds. The lens I used was the 16-55 f2.8. This focal length covered most basic needs. Here you can see the lens at various focal lengths. 16, 23, 35, 55. This night chest piece is roughly the size of a head. The camera is positioned roughly an arm's length away from the subject. There's probably another 6 feet between the subject and the background here. The f2.8 offers decent depth of field and the lens is sharp enough to resolve 4K resolution. Flares are pretty clean and clinical. Minimum focus distance is about 30 centimeters. Fuji doesn't offer a digital crop like some other manufacturers, which I find useful sometimes for extra reach or for macro. Autofocus was quick and relatively smooth. It's not something that I would rely on for narrative work, but acceptable for run and gun documentaries. My preferred method is tap to focus, which is pretty convenient and quick. Tracking is not bad, and there are some options in the menu to refine it to your liking. If you choose to manual focus, both the manual focus ring and the zoom ring are well dampened, and I'm really digging that as an aperture ring on the lens itself. As far as the in-body image stabilization, it lives up to the expectation in smoothing out micro jitters, but don't expect gimbal-like performance when moving about. You'll still get occasional jumps, particularly when panning or with long continuous shots. In general, I find the in-body stabilization smoother than the Sony a6500. Both cameras are APS-C sensor, but you have to factor in that the Fuji is a much bigger camera. In a nutshell, the X-H1 offers a wealth of video features despite some obvious omissions. The in-body image stabilization makes it one of the larger APS-C cameras. If you don't mind the bulk, I think it makes a very competent tool.